Awesome. So distribution. So just a little bit about my background. I started making videos at the age of 10 years old. I found a Macintosh computer, first GarageBand, which was audio editing, and then iMovie, which was video editing, and I just loved it. It was my passion. Um, I just made weird little videos. I love when I discovered you could reverse a video. My mind was blown. I could like make a whole bunch of marbles like fly up into the air, and it was an amazing moment for me. And that was like, wow, the power of this! I can essentially manipulate time, and I can manipulate reality. Um, and so I kept doing that, and then Twitter came out, and 11 years ago I joined Twitter, and I was on there, and just the intersection of technology and content, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And as it kept going, this kind of content ended up becoming like the pillar of what marketing, digital marketing is. Now that's kind of at the center of all this. And I didn't actually go into marketing initially. At the age of 16, I was on film sets through family connections, because in LA, it's all about who you know. I was able to like kind of weasel my own way onto film sets, start doing data management, DIT, which is basically backing up data, working my way up, assistant editor, then editing, which is my passion. And so I've seen firsthand the scale of what content creation used to be. Huge teams. Like I remember doing this one commercial shoot. It was like 15 seconds long. Someone just walking up and being like, "Hello, how you doing?" And it took, a huge team, a truck, hundreds of thousands of dollars. A micro budget film is considered like $250,000. So, and that was what, like 7 years ago. In that time, everything has completely changed, and I've witnessed that myself. The job that I'm doing at Dubb, which is just making content marketing, I'm just one person, but that would have taken at least like 10 people, just one job. And the reason that I'm able to do that is because of all these tools. And that's, the way that Premiere Pro has evolved, the way that cameras have evolved. Like just this tiny camera right here does 4K. So now, just as one person commented over there, these, especially in LA, we're in this sort of realm where now people are trying to convince, oh, okay, now you have to spend a ton of money to make content. And when the reality is, you can just start making it yourself. Yes, you want to make something that's higher produced, you get a team, and you want to distribute it, you get a team, and that might be higher quality, but really you should just start right now, just with, there's no excuse to pull out a phone and just try things, make as much as you can. And a huge part of that, and if that was the case 10 years ago as well, there would be nowhere to go. Like if it was easy to make and cheap to make content, as it is now, there's nowhere to put that. Well, now not only is it cheap to make content, there's also 1,000 places you can put that content, also at low cost. So you can take out your phone, record a video that's just like, hey guys, I'm here, just check out my product, super authentic, talking about that, and then you can put it everywhere. So that's really the power of, so getting onto distribution. That's where distribution comes in. So you can make, there's so many ways to make it sound complex. You can say, oh, I'm a marketing agency, and we can leverage the Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Yes, you can do all that, but it really it comes down to just simple, basic tenets of what works nowadays as far as distribution. Just consistency, quality, and getting out as many places as possible, and not being locked into the old models. So if you were like, okay, YouTube, you found out about YouTube, you started posting that for 5 years, then an app called Vine comes around, you don't go on that, maybe you missed that whole wave, and then of course Vine shuts down, so you're like, oh, well, good thing I didn't get into Vine. Well, someone else who decided to choose Vine, decided to take a chance on that app, they could have used the kind of organic growth that happened on that platform and parlayed that into all the other channels. So I'm not going to tell you I have any secret for content distribution. It's literally just being open to the fact that these tools are out there and that there isn't really a barrier to entry. Anyone who tells you there's a barrier to entry to any digital distribution platform, is maybe they're trying to sell you something, and that's fine. That's trying to make a business, but really you should, and it's work, but you can outsource that. The work is uploading to a YouTube, to an Instagram, to a Facebook, to LinkedIn. And then, there's technical details. I think the biggest part is really keeping up with the trends. I think it's less about some kind of secret sauce, and it's just being knowledgeable. It's maybe if you're not as tapped into this ever-changing world, it's finding someone that you work with or in your community who is on Twitter every day and who knows that YouTube just changed their algorithm and now 10-minute videos are preferred. Or now actually, I think that's actually common knowledge now. Everyone's like, oh, make videos that are 10 minutes. Well, the emerging creators, the trends that I'm seeing now is that it's not just 10-minute length, it's actually watch time that's preferred. So now it's not just making 10-minute videos, it's making 20-minute videos, and that'll bring the average watch time to around 10 minutes. And it was publicized that YouTube's switching from views to watch time as the preferred metric. But now they're actually tweaking it again to prefer long-term, reoccurring, and satisfied viewership. So this is beyond watch time. This is actually, are they coming back to your channel? Are they actually satisfied? So they're going to use things like ratings and polls, other amazing algorithms to kind of actually measure, are you satisfied after watching? Are you coming back? And how long are you watching? So that means there's a pivot that's happening, not only from these high dollar productions to more authentic in your pocket productions. There's also a pivot from these kind of flashy, clickbaity videos to and I think this is actually something that all the speakers have talked about today. It's about the creative, in the sense that, and maybe what I can elaborate on that, is that the creative is actually truly value add. It's truly meaningful. The creative doesn't have any slant of like, oh, well, I'm making this creative because I have an agenda, or I'm trying to sell you something. The modern audiences, they can tell so easily when you distribute on these very intimate platforms. Like their friends that they met, their cousin's friend is also competing with your post, so they have the same kind of feeling there. So they're like, oh, well, if you're trying to sell me something, if you have an agenda, like I'm just gonna unfollow you. That's not valuable. So now in the world of long-term, reoccurring, satisfied viewership, just make sure you're coming from a place of really genuine, just like, okay, I'm making this to either entertain or educate, and then at the very end, be open about the fact that, oh, I also have a business, I also have a product, and I'd like to sell it to you. So things are changing. I won't take up all the time. Oh, Instagram videos, I'll touch on that. I mean, Instagram's interesting how you've seen in literally the last few years, Instagram was sort of a niche platform to now the most dominant cultural force in the social media space. And you got to stay nimble because it's always changing. I touched on the fact that Vine shut down. Well, actually, there's a new app coming out called Byte by Vine's co-founder, Dom Hoffman. And there's a huge micro community, about 70,000 Vine creators rallying around that. And an app like that that's going to come out this summer, could come out and either completely flop or suddenly it's the next TikTok, which is, TikTok is right now it's the social network that's spreading everywhere. So that means that now Instagram is almost like the Facebook, which is like the old, the standby. So the point is things are changing all the time. So no matter where you're publishing, you just have, it's just publish everywhere. And don't publish the same thing everywhere. I think actually that's one thing I'll note on this slide. There's Instagram stories, which are the ephemeral 24-hour stories. There's the main feed posts, which are evergreen, so they last forever. You might think, oh, well, I made a YouTube video. I'll just cut that into, parse it into a Instagram story, and then I'll also post that to Instagram, and maybe I'll also post that same video on LinkedIn. Now, that'll save you time producing, but in the world where you can take out your phone and just hit record and make more content, there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to create individual assets for every single platform and every single feature on that platform. So create a unique Instagram story, create a unique TikTok video, create a unique Twitter post. And then you'll stand out.